What's up, guys? It's Combat here at Infinite Rhythm Productions, and today I'm going to explain what auxiliary tracks are and how to use them and what they really do in hip-hop. So as you guys can see, I have my session open here. Shout out John Mack for the vocals. I'm going to play it out a little bit.
All that haters keep it count, but we don't know the score. He try to play and see the flash like a Polaroid. Hey, Brody always wildin', I be so annoyed, motherfucker.
Alright, so before we get into the whole auxiliary thing and like adding the tracks, let me first explain what an auxiliary track is and what exactly it does for hip-hop. Like for hip-hop vocals, hip-hop the genre, why do we use auxiliary tracks? Now, auxiliary tracks are mainly used for like your reverb, parallel compression, delays, anything like that, little special effects, whatever. And you want to look at auxiliary tracks as something like, so if I were to add reverb directly onto a vocal track, it's going to most likely drown out the vocal. If I were to add like a flanger directly on the track, on a vocal track, it would just sound super crazy. And in order to control it better, we want to make an auxiliary track. So I'm going to show you guys right here. So we're working in Pro Tools. So to make an auxiliary track over here, you just want to go to Track and New. Then you want to go to Stereo, and you want to hit Aux Input, and you want to name it too. So let's say you're using like a reverb or something like that. You just want to go vocal reverb, or you can even go vocal verb. That's another thing people do. Boom. And when you do that, you have your auxiliary track. It's right here. If I go over to my mix screen, you guys see it's right here in the green. So the first thing you guys want to do is you want to assign an input. So the input is pretty much going to make it to where anytime you want to send any type of vocal through the auxiliary to get that effect or get to those plugins, you want to make sure you know the input that you have. So for this one, we're going to do bus 17 and 18. But as you guys can see here, I've already labeled my other inputs. So I already have my Vox Verb, my newer compression, delay, exciter, echo. So I already have it set up to where it's already there, and I already have my auxiliary set up for that, as you guys can see right over here. So going back to this auxiliary, I'm gonna go click bus 17, 18, and we're just gonna add some reverb real fast. So I'm just gonna put on some reverb, put some deverb on, super intense. And then what I'm gonna do is right here where we see sends, right over here on the main vocal track, we're gonna go to bus, and we're gonna find that same bus input that we made the auxiliary track with the reverb and everything. We're gonna put that on over here into the vocal. There we go. And just so you guys can hear, I'm gonna make this super loud so you guys can hear this effect.
All that haters keep it count, but we don't know the score. He try to play and see the flash like a Polaroid.
So you guys see what I'm talking about? So it just kind of like makes it to where the vocals are also passing through this track with the reverb, and you could control how much of that is going into the actual output. So I'm gonna just play it out. I'm gonna adjust.
All that haters keep it count, but we don't know the score. He try to play and see the flash like a Polaroid. Hey, Brody always wildin', I be so annoyed, motherfucker jigga cut he slide.
So you guys see how much more control I actually have over that. So I'm going to just put another effect just so you guys can see that. So let's say I wanted to add, like I was talking about, a flanger. Maybe instead of a flanger, we'll add just a chorus. And I'm going to play that out with it all the way up.
All that haters keep it count, but we don't know the score. He try to play and see the flash like a Polaroid.
So what happens if you like that effect? You're like, yo, that effect's fucking dope. I want to use that shit, but it's just too intense. You know what I'm saying? So what we do is, it's already there. Boom, boom, boom. We just got to lower the fader.
All that haters keep it count, but we don't know the score. He try to play and see the flash like a Polaroid. Hey, Brody always wildin', I be so.
And you can literally do that with any effect. It's pretty dope. Another big thing that a lot of genres do, not just hip hop, is a Vox Sub. So it's the same thing of adding auxiliary, but instead of adding just like an effect or something like that, I already have one open here. We're going to add all our plugins. So as you guys can see, I definitely go crazy with plugins. It's not that I love stacking and adding all these layers and stuff to create like such a, big mush, because I know a lot of people say sometimes it's too much processing, and I totally understand that. But for me, I like to use a lot of plugins because all the little things you do for each plugin does something. You know what I'm saying? I'm not using like a big ass compressor and that's compressing the whole vocal. I'm using maybe 3 different compressors and they're each doing something different for the vocal. I might be using a multi-band compression, maybe sometimes 2, but each one is doing a little something different. You know what I'm saying? So it just all depends on your mix and your style. You feel me? Like I feel like everyone, especially as an engineer, you should try to retain your own style. You know what I'm saying? If you sound like everybody else, you're just gonna sound like the next engineer. Why are they gonna hire you? You know? But if you really have your own sound, people are gonna want to come to you for that sound. And just remember that. You feel me? Like always stick to what you guys stick to what's true. You feel me? Always stick to being authentic. So you guys see, so we'll get back to this here. So we have the Vox Sub right here, and you guys can see I have all my plugins on this vocal. Now, the reason why you would have all the plugins on an auxiliary track is because sometimes when we have all these plugins on this track and then we have multiple main tracks with all these plugins, it could be too much processing for a computer. So what you do is you just create a Vox Sub like this and add all your plugins on there. And when you're over here on the vocal track, on the output, you want to make the output the input of whatever Vox Sub you have, the auxiliary track with all those plugins. So as you guys can see right here on my output, I have this at the Vox Sub verse. And I could change that, you know what I'm saying, to anything really, but I want it to correspond with the one that's the Vox Sub, you know what I'm saying? So I just make sure my input's there, and then my output for this is there. And now everything that I do is going to be controlled through the Vox Sub. So I'll show you guys.
All that haters keep it count, but we don't know the score. He try to play and see the flash like a Polaroid. Hey, Brody always wildin', I be so annoyed,
So you see how I controlled the volume through with this Vox Sub, because everything now is going through the Vox Sub instead of the actual main track. So yeah, having an auxiliary track with your vocals also helps in other ways as well. So if you have like other layers, or even like if you want to group certain parts of a beat, if you have stems for it, you could kind of do more intricate work when you have the Vox Sub, when like certain instruments or certain vocals are just running through that one Vox Sub. Maybe you could add a spreader to give it more like spread on there. You could add a chorus or maybe some reverb on it. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever it is, you want to add that effect to that more specific detailed part, you could use the sub for that. So this concludes my tutorial on what auxiliary tracks are and how to use them in the hip hop genre. Now, I really appreciate you guys liking, commenting, and subscribing. It helps me out a lot, so I can help you out a lot. Let's get it.